What papers did he publish?
Well, yeah, this was his miracle year, which means he published many papers. One was on how light is both a particle and a wave. One was on the size of atoms. And what was crazy about this paper is that people didn't know atoms existed yet.
Oh.
So here he was saying the size of atoms. So then the one after that, he proved that atoms exist. An important follow-up, you know,
Yeah.
as things are. And then he wrote one on special relativity, and then he wrote one on the energy mass equivalence E equals mc squared.
Yay! Did all these papers help him become a professor?
Not yet. He got this job as a private docent, which was the lowest teaching position. And the only people that would come to his lectures were his sister Maya and and his friend Besso, who he helped get hired at the patent office. He finally got a job as an associate professor at the University of
Zurich!
when his friend Adler stepped down because he wanted Einstein to have his position.
What was Zurich like?
I have a story about Zurich. Pretty much there was this stove that gave off carbon monoxide, and so Einstein one day, he was in there and he didn't notice, and so then his friend was stopping by. He's like, "Hi, Einstein," and then Einstein was passed out on the floor, but his friend saved him, so it's all good. But just a weird story. But anyway, Maliva liked Zurich, so it was a good place for them. And they had a new kid, Edward.
How was Einstein as a professor?
Well,
No socks.
yeah, and he
Pants a bit short.
yeah, and also
No comb.
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is
Notes on scraps of cardboard.
yeah, and he mixed those up sometimes too. He was a little disorganized. That's what everyone liked about him. Also, he encouraged people to question him and challenge him, and then afterwards, he invited them to coffee, and it was like the giant version of his Olympia Academy that he had earlier. And then his students really liked him, so they petitioned to get him a raise.
Oh, yay.
So ask if he changed from associate
So
professor.
did he ever change from like an associate professor to like a professor?
Yes, he got a job in Prague, and Maliva did not like Prague. Not like Prague. There was sun there, and the water was so bad, like it was brown, so they had to drink out of water bottles, and there was segregation. But I mean, it was like a better, higher paying job as a professor. Einstein went to this conference, the Solvay conference, the first year, and he got to be with all these famous scientists at the time, Max Planck, Lorenz, Rutherford, Marie Curie, who was the talk of the week, got the Nobel Prize. Then he got a job at Poly, you know, that was his college. So he moved back to Zurich, and he fell in love with his cousin Elsa.
That's so embarrassing.
I know. Anyway, so Maliva moved out, and then he sent her half of the salary.
Did he ever marry Elsa?
Well, so as they grew apart, first he sent Maliva this list of rules, like that they wouldn't be affectionate. Anyway, then pretty much he got an agreement with Maliva that they would divorce, and he would give her Nobel Prize money, the like award money, if he ever won. And she accepted because it seemed like he was probably going to get a Nobel Prize. Then he married Elsa.
What was Einstein working on at the time?
Yes, Einstein was working with Grossman, that guy from earlier who gave him the notes. They were working on tensor calculus, which is the fourth dimension calculus, and they were trying to figure out general relativity, get all of relativity into place. Also, Einstein signed the Manifesto to Europeans, which was like this like peace group. They didn't want the war. They wanted people to say no war, end war. And that was because all the other scientists that he knew and was friends with were all getting involved in the war and like making mustard gas and chlorine gas and all this like really bad stuff. And this was World War I, by the way. Poor guy lived through two world wars. Then Einstein got a stomach ulcer, and he was put on a special diet, and Elsa took care of him.
We're not doing a fountain chat.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. So how are people taking Einstein's theories?
Well, he had this friend, Eddington, and And the two of them were both friends because they were interested in pacifism and not getting involved in the war. That guy went and took pictures of the eclipse and showed that the bending of light that Einstein had predicted was actually happening. So Einstein's lectures were gaining popularity, and they started to have to limit the number of people that could attend to the number of chairs.
How was Einstein's family doing?
Well, Hans was becoming a hydraulic engineer. Einstein's mom moved in with them, and then she died. And then Elsa helped manage Einstein's fame. Poor Edward, he got schizophrenia and he had to go to a mental hospital. Einstein and Elsa went to visit America, and that was cool because everybody loved Einstein in America. They loved his hair and they loved his humor and how forgetful he was.
Awesome.